Well, Ian, we've given you a week after that amazing league-winning day, just a chance for you to think about how that season went. What did it mean to you?
Well, because of the way things panned out, it was just relief at the end, really. You know, with 3 minutes to go, I'm not sure, you know, if this club's got a long and great history, but that must be one of the finest 2 or 3 minutes in its history. And it was great ultimately to win it like that. In my opinion, we should have won the league by 10, 12 points. And, you know, it was tough during the season. It was tough. Just 1 or 2 things that you can't say unless you win the title. You know, there wasn't another team in the top 4 or 5 that had injury problems like us. I mean, it was just serious problems. For a quarter of part of one, I think it was the 3rd quarter of the season, and then towards the end, I mean, to have 5 or 6 out every week, and you're talking Robbie Crawford, in my opinion, the best midfielder in the league, missed 17, 18 games. Gagan missed 16, 17 games. Higgins missed half a season. Docherty missed half a season. In that respect, you know, the Docherty and Higgins ones were well covered because I was able to, the board fantastically allowed me to bring in, I mean, I moved some players out, allowed me to bring in Bell and Kerr, who were great for us. You know, obviously the thing that happened with Shankland, you know, we were decimated throughout the season, and I felt at times some of the football we played was absolutely fantastic. And I did say we were going to score a lot of goals. I listened to not my wildest dreams that I think we'd score 125 fours, whatever it was. And just some great individual performances, but there was a real togetherness amongst the players. And you know, I'm not, as you know, I'm not a sycophant in terms of always praising the fans, because a couple of times I've come out and not praised them, but I thought there was a real together, particularly at away games. I thought there was a few instances when there was a real bond between players and supporters. And obviously, you know, supporters need heroes, and you know, in my 20 odd years as a manager, I mean, there's been a few players that have been heroes at respective clubs, like Barry Robson at Dundee United, or Owen Coyle at Falkirk, various other players through, but I've never been in a club where we had a few years, but in terms of how the fans took to Lawrence, it was quite incredible. And you know, that's one of the things I'll be saying to him and his dad when I meet them, in terms of, you know, that makes it a lot easier for him to perform, because he is absolutely loved. I mean, I thought that bond between the supporters and the players really helped. At the end, I mean, the last 2 weeks, it was hard for me to say anything about it. It came down to, we played poorly for 1 half. I mean, I thought when it was 11v11 against them, it was just a matter of time before we were going to absolutely run over the top of them. You know, we hit the bar, and then Lawrence's volley, Craig Moore stopped Lawrence's volley in the line, which they both think he meant because he didn't really want to finish top scorer. And then obviously Lawrence gets sent off, and even then we dominate the second half and we lose a penalty. And then going to Alloa with the pressure on, didn't perform at all in the first half, really poor. But then Craig, you know, obviously missed a penalty, which really turned the season around. All the good work was turned on its head. But you know, in retrospect, which you can't usually do in football, but it was great that happened the way it did. I'm sure we all in here wanted to have it won 3 or 4 games before the end, which I think we deserve to do. But you know, if you go in a league season and your last, I think I'm right in this, your last 14 games, you win 11, draw 1 and lose 2. It's a pretty spectacular end to the season. So, you know, I just think sometimes the players involved in this season, I know me and know the staff, the players involved, I'm not sure, I wasn't sure at one point they were getting enough praise. But since we won the trophy, and I've got to say Graham Miller's done a great job, the town appears to be absolutely buzzing. Harley's, is it Harley's? I certainly was on Saturday night when I was out with my son for 10 minutes. So it was just it was a day that will live long in the memory. You know, I was regarded some of the board of directors as my friends, and obviously the big man. And to see these guys, and to see Lynn Watson crying and Tracy crying, and it was a really special day. It's the type of day clubs like ours you get once every 3 or 4 decades. You know, this group of players now deserve to be up there with Ayr's greatest ever manager, their team. that scored all those goals, they deserve to be up there with it.
You were talking there about the town and the community and Graham's work as well. This week, we've been honoured to go out with them a few times to some of the schools, the sponsors, everything. This has really been shared by the club with the community. And just going out even yesterday to Cumnock Academy, really far away from the town of Ayr in terms of Ayrshire, and the response from the people out there, teachers, kids, everything. It just shows how much it means.
It does, and this whole situation, and this is my opinion, and I haven't spoken to the board about it yet, I've chewed one of their ears about it, but this has got to be now be the catalyst to where you want to go, whether I'll be here 10 years or whatever, I don't know, but it's got to be, you've got to make the most of this situation. I mean to speak to the council to try and get another 1 or 2 training facilities in Ayr that we can bring the whole football club back to Ayr to train in Ayr all week. If we're able to keep the vast majority of players, I only think we need 4, maybe 5 players, and I genuinely believe that. And last time we were in the Championship, I took over that for getting relegated. I'd never been relegated before, but I felt it was the right thing to do. We were let down by a few people, and obviously it didn't help that Lawrence didn't sign. It didn't help that Craig Moore was injured for 6 months, because we scored another 7 or 8 goals, we'll stay up. But even then, that was part of the evolution, I think, of the club since I've arrived here. And I look at the Championship this season, I've had a team that's won the Championship, finished second about 3 times, so it's no magnificent level of football. It's okay, it's a step up from where we are. But when you look at that league this year, why should Ayr United, if we get the right people in, and we're able to do it budget-wise, why should Ayr United be scared of playing Morton and Queen of South and Inverness and Livingston, who finished second in a fabulous season? I want to actually be the players. It's got to be the players. I think we've got a group of players that believe that, if we can keep them all and we sign the right ones, because every team's got to evolve, just like the club's got to evolve. But again, the next year we'd see a lot of the teething problems that I've talked about hopefully get a bit better. 2-3 years from now, hopefully they won't exist. I'll give you a great example. The physiotherapist situation, I think, has been a nightmare for 2 years. And I'm not slagging any of the guys we've had, but it's just been really bitty. Stephen Maguire's back now. I'd like to think he'll be starting on the 1st of June. He'll be full time. That teething problem is now done. Well, hopefully Stevie will stay fit. But and he's a wonderful physiotherapist. That's why we've kept the position vacant for him. So that's one of them done. And there's a number of others that we need to that will only get solved in time.
Have you already targeted players that you'd like to go for?
I've had many conversations with people about players. I mean, all the players, our players in Scotland, they are in Spain just now, so I think they go back today. So I've been in most of the week. I'll be in next week. I know the type of players we need, and they've got to fit into the identity of the players we've got this year. But I think it's more important that we tie up the players that are here that are out of contract. I think it's stating the obvious. It's pretty important we try and get Lawrence. I think Craig Moore will have, in fact I know he's got suitors. I think it's very important. I think Michael Rose and Robbie Crawford might have options. It's really important we keep that togetherness in the squad together, because you're not telling me Michael Rose can't cope with the Championship. I mean, of course he can. Crawford, for me, should be playing in the Premier League, but he just needs to stay fit. He's a real... And we had a chat with Robbie, he had a... You can't complain about Fraser Fivey's tackle on and put him out for a while. It was a bad challenge, and Ross Dockett, he stood on his foot. So it's other wee things he needs to get better. It's rehabbing himself a bit better, but he's a wonderful footballer. And obviously Keaton Lawrence and Craig would be icing the cake, I think.
What do you see as the differences between playing the style in the Championship compared to the league?
Well, we won't change the style, but they'll play. We're hoping to keep Forrest, McGuffey, McDade and the 3 strikers, so you can't really play any different. So I think we need pace in areas of the pitch, a bit more pace. I think that's one thing when we were playing our best we did have in the team for League One. I think you need more pace in areas of the team in the Championship, and we'll be looking at that. Obviously we need a goalkeeper. I think we had problems at the goalkeeper position all season. Jordan did well for a spell, then made a couple of errors. We brought him out and he came back and he did really well when he came back. So that's an area of the team that he's looked at. But really, it's not major surgery. It's not a Steven Gerrard type surgery leading done.
You've had that tough bit. It's always a tough time at the end of the year where you have to put some releases out there. And I think a few people have been talking about Paddy Boyle because
that was a tough one.
Must have been awful.
That was a tough one. I mean, I brought him to Thistle and we were in the Championship Team of the Year that year, and I think it was maybe shortlisted Player of the Year, I don't know, but he got his move to Dunfermline in the Premier League then, and he's done really well over the period for us, and you know, the early part of this season I didn't think was up to scratch, but I've got to say what made it really tough was when he captained the team for 10 games. I mean, I think we won 9 and drew 1, and he was absolutely terrific. I thought he was really back to his best. We just felt we couldn't guarantee that he would start every week, and he's got a family now, and so that decision was made, and it was me that made it, but it wasn't easy because I've known him for many years.
So you've been here today actually looking at the new strip. You've been probably taking thousands of pictures with fans. What do these kind of days do for the club?
Well, it's great. I mean, I've come down from Glasgow with my boy, and this is part of capitalising on a moment. But the whole club's got to capitalise on this. I'd had a lot of the players here today if they weren't in Spain. I think Robbie Crawford came down earlier, so it's great. It's how you can do all the work you want. This is the type of day that can capitalise and can propel you forward to become a community club. It's little things like this. It's little things like me having a conversation with a guy that's 84. He was 84 a week ago. And he said after the Alloy game he thought, that's it, I'll never see us winning a title again. And then what happened? We did win it, and he's there with his Ayr United tie on, suited and booted, looked immaculate, holding a 4-year-old with an Ayr United t-shirt on. You know, all these things are really, really important because it is a magic club, there's no doubt about it, and it can survive in the Championship. I think we can have, I've said when I arrived, it's been a hell of a journey. You know, a promotion, a relegation, a championship. It really has been, but we can have 2,000 fans of our own here every second Saturday. And at Somerset Park, if you've got 2,000 fans and whoever the opposition is, they bring whatever they bring, you get an atmosphere. There's no doubt you get a great atmosphere. Some of the atmosphere, the Wraith Rovers game here, the second one, on that rainy day when we won 3-0, and we could have won a lot more than that, as you know. And incidentally, I thought our best performance of the season was away at Wraith when we could beat 2-1. I thought we were outstanding that day, but it was the day Jamie Adams did his mad celebration. The atmosphere that day was electric. It was only, I think it was 2,300 at the game. It shows what can be done.
Now, there is a time just now that we have, you're talking about the fans as well, but it's really to help you. You were talking there about really budgets and how you're going to get players for next year. You're sort of saying you really need that kind of extra 4 or 5 players. Fans really become a big part of this just now. It's about season tickets, it's about people getting money into the club there, joining the 500 club, doing the lottery, all these kind of things. These are vital things to club.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think we make clear that this chat we're having today wasn't about that. I didn't say about that type of stuff. No, not at all. But of course they are. It's absolutely crucial. I mean, I've got 2 meetings this week where I'm going to go over. And I'm going to start getting involved with budget things, and and I've got copies of things. And I came through at Clydebank when I was the only one there. I ran the place, and it wasn't a well-run club like this is. But I think there's ways we can save money in various areas. There's ways we can chop money. There's because everybody needs to be looked after. But I think the academy, the reserves are crucial. But the way a football club thrives is the first team winning football matches. And if you have better players in the first team, you've got a better chance of winning football matches. So it's pretty simple for me. So every avenue stream needs to be looked at. I think there needs to be an understanding from people at the club that, maybe perhaps paying a star player just a little bit more, not much, I'm trying to keep everybody the same. But what it does do is, if you read next week Lawrence Shanklin has re-signed, then, or Craig Moore, or fans are going to then go and say, well, good, I want a piece of that. I might just go and get a season ticket. You know,
it talks about ambition, doesn't it?
Right, and it makes things kind of cost effective, you know. So, you know, and also long term wise, we've got 2 or 3 players in the system now who I believe will be worth money, and that's got to be looked at as well. Now, that's not nothing in football's guaranteed, but we've got a young kid, Finn Hickrepont, who's joined the club. He's already agreed a 3-year contract. He could go now if we wanted.
Scottish internationalist already.
And he looks the absolute. He's been in training with the first team. We actually try to ask permission for him to play against Alloa because we had so many players out. He'll be 16 soon. He comes from a great family who they're not allowing me to sign the contract till May the 23rd to last the exams. And so, which is fantastic. But if he keeps progressing, he could be the real deal. I mean, you could talk about selling him down the road for serious money. I think I've got to say, I think Craig McGuffey is one that he could even go at it now. You know, there's been interest in him to take him away and down to England to an under-23 team to try and develop him there. I hope not, I hope it doesn't happen. So we've got a goalie, Ellis Reid, that was just signed, only 18, 19, 6'2". He looks as if he's got a real chance. So there's loads of good things happening. We need to grab this chance to move the club forward.
So any chance of a holiday for you, or are you just absolutely working your soul?
Well, I phoned up Hillhead High School to get my son out of school. I'll probably go away at the end of May or last week in May or something like that, so I'm here for pre-season. But the next 2 weeks I think I'll be hectic to try and get a few things sorted.
Well, it's time to say it, but thanks so much for everything you've done over the last few years and for creating that magical moment last week as well in that championship.
Well, I think after certainly what I've come through, but what the football club's come through, I think we all deserve it.